The idea of publishing an English edition to the Finnish book entitled Behold the Author and Finisher of Our Faith by author Keijo Nissilä began back in 2014 before the original Finnish book was even completed. During that year, 2014, Keijo Nissilä and his wife, Säde-Pirkko, were on a mission trip to North and South America. More than one of us American friends were aware of Keijo's work on the book and discussed the possibility of an English edition. That time, his wife, Säde-Pirkko, promised to translate it, which she did. She did a wonderful job. And I've wondered about that process. Here you have a gifted translator, the closest person on earth to the author with whom she was able to work on the English manuscript. I think it is quite unique. I was fortunate enough to serve as the editor. I had a wonderful team of additional editors to work with here in North America. That was Aya and David Niemi and Nina and Oli Vanska from Toronto, and Sam Royko from Minnesota, and Hannah Wittenberg from Colorado. And then in addition to that, Pete Lever served as our reader who doesn't speak Finnish, which it's an important touch that helps ensure in particular American fluency, American English fluency in the book. But the book's the product of decades of scriptural research and study on the letter to the Hebrews by Keijo Nissilä on a topic that really has captivated and still holds not only his keen interest, but the interest of biblical scholars, I think, globally, and believers here in North America and Finland, other locations. Keijo's lifetime of study, inquiry, research into the letter to the Hebrews and into the intended message of the epistle's unknown author really helps reveal the meaning, the purpose of that letter, or actually, as Keijo describes it to some extent in his book, a sermon intended for that congregation whom he knew and he loved, this unknown author. But anyway, the book reveals in such a clear way the unique relationship of a pastor and his home congregation. Through Keijo's gift and his way of explaining, the reader is presented with a clear image of the sober, loving, and beautiful relationship within a Christian congregation and in God's kingdom. For example, Keijo describes the writer's tender yet sober approach in addressing even troubling conditions in that congregation of the Hebrews. We don't know who it was or where it was, but I think that today, some 2,000 years later, the believing reader will be able to see that this image of care and love for fellow believers remains familiar and comforting to dwellers in Zion today. But even further than that, I hope that in our time, the eyes of readers globally will be open to glimpse the beauty of God's kingdom through the scriptural explanations in this book, Behold the Author and Finisher of Our Faith, and that God can awaken those to seek a loving God and his grace kingdom on earth. I have to say that I found the entire process of editing, working with Keijo and his wife, working with the North American team members here, to be deeply rewarding personally. And friendships were deepened here in North American Zion, but also it bridged across the ocean as well. And I do thank our sister organization in Finland, the SRK, with whom we work closely, for allowing the translating and publishing so forth of this book in English, and also the Laestadian Church here in North America for continuing with the process to get this book published and available very soon.